But up first, new legal action, more National Guard help, and an angry protest in Lansing. Help Me Hank is tracking the Flint water crisis. And we'll start there tonight for Local 4 News at 6. Good to have you with us. There are new developments around the state tonight, and we are hearing from Flint's former mayor.
Well, he's the man who flipped the switch that directed water from the Flint River into people's homes. But first, a second class action lawsuit has been filed trying to hold the state and city of Flint accountable for the toxic water. The National Guard says it will have about 30 soldiers in Flint by tomorrow. And hundreds of people rallied in the state capitol demanding Governor Snyder resign because of this crisis. Let's get to Hank Winchester, who's in Flint now with the latest. Good evening, Hank.
Carmen, Devin, good evening to both of you. We're live here in downtown Flint. We've seen some positive changes here today. The lines not as long as they were yesterday. There is more water, still short on some supplies. But people here in the city still want questions answered, and they want to know more from Flint's former mayor. After all, he is the man who physically pushed that button, flipped that switch, bringing in the city water to the people here in this community.
You know, it's unimaginable what's happened to our community.
Dane Walling, Flint's former mayor, the man captured in these photos flipping the switch to pump Flint River water to the city, raising a glass and celebrating what was supposed to be a great moment for Flint. What would you say to the Flint resident, though, who wants to know your involvement in all of this, or what you could have done to change this?
And I think about it every single day. What could I have done differently? And I don't know what more I could have asked from the EPA, from our staff, from the DEQ. We were asking all the questions as a community, but we weren't getting a response.
We now know the Flint River water was a danger. The question, who knew what and when? Walling says that he was alerted early on that there could have been a problem and worked to get that message out to the people. Remember, at this point, Flint was under the control of an emergency manager, and Walling says he felt like no one was listening to his concerns.
But all these decisions were made by emergency managers that were appointed by the governor. They weren't consulting with myself or city council.
The EPA started sounding the alarm in April. Walling says that he was aware there was problems, but was waiting for more information.
But the Department of Environmental Quality was still maintaining that Flint's water met the standards.
Today, Walling no longer Flint's mayor. Many believe his connection to this scandal too much for voters to look past. Do you take any of the blame for this? Do you think you should be held accountable on any level?
I was held accountable by the people. I mean, I was up for re-election, and that's ultimate accountability for a public official.
It was a close election, but ultimately he ended up losing. He says he will cooperate with any investigation moving forward. His emails, he said, have already been FOIA'd. He's handing those over. But as you heard, he puts most of the blame on this on the emergency manager. But again, this is a full investigation. They'll be taking a close look at the EM's role, the governor's role, and also the role of the former mayor. We're live here tonight in Flint. Hank Winchester, back to you.
So, Hank, the suggestion from him is that while we have the picture of him flipping the switch, that decision was actually one that was out of his control.
That's his story, Devin, that he believes that that was coming from Lansing, from the governor, from the emergency manager, and he says that he had concerns early on. He tried to voice those, and that's why ultimately he worked to kind of get the word out here in Flint on his own. Again, though, this investigation is moving forward, and we will learn much more about what he knew and when he knew it. Yeah. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Hank. Now, you can still help the people of Flint by donating bottled water at any Art Van furniture store in Metro Detroit, Lansing, or Flint. The Help Me Hank water drive is underway now. Some people are banding together to buy more water, and it will be given to those in need in the city of Flint.